Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back to the IBFP. We got to go over it. We got to do it. Everybody keeps asking me, and they want me to give them the real, the truth, the unfiltered talk about Deontay Wilder. Is he elite or is he hype? And you know, we don't like to pull any punches. We don't like to go around the issue. We like to give it to you raw and real. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do for you today. And a lot of talk has been centered around Anthony Joshua. A lot of people are saying that Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder. A lot of people say that Deontay Wilder is the most dangerous man on the planet, the baddest man on the planet. And I just want to give you a few comparisons, let you decide for yourself by presenting you evidence and all facts. Nothing more than facts and evidence to show you whether Deontay Wilder is either hype or he's elite. So let's take a look at Deontay Wilder through his first 22 fights. Now his 22nd fight was against a gentleman named Jesse Altmans. That was basically at the cruiserweight, 8 rounds, and that was his 22nd fight. In comparison, Anthony Joshua's 22nd fight was this one, Alexander Povetkin, and that's going to be at Wembley. You tell me. There was no title on the line for Deontay Wilder in his 22nd fight. He had no titles. He had no unifications. And his best opponent with the best record and best skill set was David Long. By comparison, this being Anthony Joshua's 22nd fight, he holds 3 world titles, 2 unifications, and his best opponents are Vladimir Klitschko, Dillian White, Joseph Parker, Carlos Takam, and Dominic Breazeale. And that's in 22 fights. So based on that evidence, after 22 fucking fights, you're telling me that Deontay Wilder is in the same ballpark as Anthony Joshua, a unified champion in 22 fights. Okay, well then you tell me, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And so this is just looking at facts. So then we'll go on. And the next thing we'll look at is when Wilder is 33-0, 32 knockouts. And this is a quote from his manager, Shelly Finkel, who everybody in the boxing world believes and says, oh, Eddie Hearn's a snake. Anthony Joshua doesn't want to fight. So Shelly Finkel comes out. Now this is, mind you, while Deontay Wilder is 33-0 with 32 knockouts. He comes out and says, and I quote, look, Wilder is a baby winning the title. It was his first title fight. There'll be a time for unification. There'll be a time for all those things. He could go and basically fight Povetkin in Russia and make $10 million, which he never fought. It's not the right thing yet. Give him a couple fights. Maybe bring something back to Alabama. Let him develop just like any other athlete. They don't take someone who's a great college prospect and throw him right in. And this kid is a great prospect. Now let me ask you this. If you're 33-0 with 32 knockouts, you're a baby? You're a prospect? Are you fucking serious? Now this in comparison to all the shit they talked about Anthony Joshua and that he's ducking, and he's at 22 fights. And you're telling me Deontay Wilder at 33 fights is a prospect and a baby. If Anthony Joshua took that same damn approach, everybody would say he's a coward, he's a ducker. Oh, I'm sorry, you're saying that now. And the only person that offered a contract in this negotiation was Anthony Joshua. So then I get the information that Deontay Wilder says, no, Anthony Joshua, there's no date, there's no venue. Why would I sign a fight for a date and a venue? And come to find out, in the new fight that he has here with Tyson Fury, there's no date or venue confirmed. There's still talk about this fight possibly being in the UK as well as Las Vegas. As far as the date, it's kind of up in the air. It's November, December. They're leaning both ways. It's all just speculation. They said the fight was 99% done. It was easy to get done, and that was 3 weeks ago. Seriously. Weeks ago. So you're telling me that this thing was easy to make, and you still have all these question marks surrounding the situation. Be real, be honest. Why was all this hype put out about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder? You know why it was all put out? Because it was fucking smoke and mirrors. That's why. They want to give the perception that Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder so Deontay Wilder can try to get the biggest payday of his career, because he knows that he's taking a massive risk by fighting Anthony Joshua. You don't offer someone a contract if you're not willing to fight. And you say, well, no, Anthony Joshua is not willing to fight. In 22 fights, he's already fought way better competition than Deontay Wilder has fought in his whole career. Vladimir Klitschko, Dillian White, Joseph Parker, Carlos Takam, and Dominic Breazeale. And when he fought White, Parker, and Breazeale, they were all undefeated. Parker was an undefeated champion. Vladimir Klitschko is a Hall of Famer. And Carlos Takam was a replacement fight. And he was still a damn good opponent. So you're telling me a guy that takes on these type of challenges is scared of Deontay Wilder, who in 22 fights was fighting a Jesse Altman who no one's fucking heard of? His best opponent was David Long? And you're telling me that Anthony Joshua was scared of this guy? The same guy whose nickname is Deontay Windmill Wilder. And let me be honest with you about something. I like Deontay Wilder. I think he's good for boxing. I think he has elite power. I think he's very strong. There's no one in boxing that I think has a stronger right hand than Deontay Wilder. If he hits anyone with that right hand, they have the potential of being knocked the fuck out. But that does not mean that Deontay Wilder is the best boxer or the most dangerous man on the planet. And the reason I say that is because this is called boxing, not brawling, for a reason. If you fight the right opponent, they will outbox you, humiliate you, and show you a boxing masterclass and a boxing lesson. Deontay Wilder almost fell against a 40-year-old Luis Ortiz. Now, I understand a lot of people say Luis Ortiz is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Let them tell it when he fought Deontay Wilder. Luis Ortiz is a solid fighter. I'll say at least a B-level fighter. He's never been a world champion. He almost failed his blood pressure and health test, and he was almost 40 years old. So, at the end of the day, why are you giving him more credit for a Luis Ortiz fight than he's deserving? And that's one fight. And even in that fight, he was out on his feet with a doctor in his corner. What the hell are you talking about? These are facts. These are not things I'm making up. These are not things that are being pulled out of my ass. These are all facts. These facts cannot be refuted. Shelly Finkel saying that this guy's a prospect at 33 fights with 32 knockouts cannot be refuted. These are facts. So you can say what you want. I think Deontay Wilder is good for boxing. I think his style of fighting is good for boxing. It's very entertaining and pleasing to boxing fans and casuals. But to be completely honest and the honest truth, is Deontay Wilder hyped? Or is he elite? Is he a great fighter? Well, let me answer that for you. He's very much hyped. Very much. The only credible win that he has on his record is Luis King Kong Ortiz, and that's not an elite fighter. That's not a fighter in his prime, and that's not a fighter at the top of his game. Obviously, he went into that fight completely unhealthy, out of shape, and also well over his prime as far as his age. Now, Luis Ortiz is a very good fighter, technically sound, but he by no means is elite and has never proved to be elite, because by way of records, that Luis Ortiz has never fought an elite or top level fighter himself. So let's do a little more digging, and we're going to be 100% honest and unbiased here. We do like Wilder. We do like the Wilder Fury fight. We believe that's an entertaining and compelling fight. And more than anything, we want to see the Joshua Wilder fight for the simple reason we feel that once that fight happens, there can be no more talk. There can be no more hiding about who's scared, who's not. The fight will simply happen, and you will see what it's like to face an elite fighter for the first time in your career. Yes, Deontay Wilder has elite power, but if you cannot accurately land that power, if you cannot accurately place those punches, then it's a different ball game. You'll say, well, he beat Luis Ortiz. He almost lost to a tentative, out of shape, and old Luis King Kong Ortiz. And he's literally almost lost. Most people will say he was out on his feet in the 7th round. Why? Answer me this. Why did Luis Ortiz not get a doctor to come over to his corner? And he had been knocked down multiple times in that fight. But yet Deontay Wilder actually never hit the canvas, and the doctor came over to check on him. That shows you, if anything, the ref should have called the fight off. Or if the ref wasn't going to call the fight off, at the very least, the doctor should have never been in this corner. Because that's a completely unfair advantage to give this guy more time. But you say, Deontay Wilder, the question here is he elite? Is he a fraud? Let's look at his resume. Let's look at his last 3 opponents prior to Luis Ortiz, because Luis Ortiz is his best win by far, and he's still a B-level fight. So let's look at the 3 fights prior to that just to see if there's anybody else, because we went through his first 22 fights. Let's look at the last 3. Bermane Stiverne. No. We all know Bermane Stiverne is a mediocre fighter at best, and he was out of shape and inactive when Deontay Wilder fought him. Let's keep going. Gerald Washington, El Gallo Negro. Now, Gerald Washington, he was a prospect. He had never fought anyone. He was a replacement in that fight, I believe. And he even won some early rounds before being knocked out in the 5th. So Gerald Washington was a prospect himself, fighting for the WBC World Heavyweight title. Chris Arreola. Absolutely not. Let's even keep going. Arthur Spilka. That was a decent win, but still not elite or world level. So looking at all this, it makes you wonder, if people say Deontay Wilder, is he the baddest man on the planet? But you would fight a prospect in Gerald Washington, and the WBC gives you a mandatory against Bermane Stiverne. But for whatever the hell reason, they're terrified of giving Dillian Whyte an opportunity. Makes no sense to me. If I'm Deontay Wilder, I could make a huge payday against Dillian Whyte. You say he's not a good fighter. You say he's a peasant. You say all these things. Why not take the fight and make 3 or 4 times more than what you've ever made in your career? Fight him in the UK, get rid of him, and you're good to go. Because clearly, against Luis Ortiz, Bermane Stiverne, Gerald Washington, Chris Arreola, Arthur Spilka, Johan Duhaupas, Eric Molina, Malik Scott, he's never made $8 to $10 million against any of those opponents, and that's the reported amount that he would get for fighting a Dillian Body Snatcher Whyte. So, is Deontay Wilder a real elite fighter, or is he completely hyped? The verdict is out, the verdict is in, and based on the facts that we have, he's a hyped fighter, he's not elite, he's a shit talker, and that's great for boxing. But let's not get carried away. A lot of media and a lot of boxing media have him ranked at an elite level, at a top level, at a world level, and he's simply not. He does not deserve the benefit of the doubt for consistently taking big fights, because he has never taken a big fight. Never. He's taken a decent fight against Luis Ortiz, and the boxing media will have you believe that it was the best and biggest fight you've ever seen. And matter of fact, Eddie Hearn has actually reportedly offered Deontay Wilder 6 million euros, or British pounds, to face Dillian Whyte in Brooklyn. So since he's so hesitant to come to the UK to fight him, he said, we'll offer you 6 million pounds to come to Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to give you a direct quote from Eddie Hearn. I'd probably go up to 7 or 8 million for Deontay Wilder to fight Dillian Whyte right now. I'll be making Deontay Wilder an offer this week for Dillian Whyte again. Why would Deontay Wilder and Shelly Finkel then respond that you just laughed it off? Why would you laugh off one of the highest and biggest paydays ever? If Dillian Whyte is nobody, he's easy work. then why not take it? Why not take it? That would probably be the easiest money you've ever made. You don't take it because you know Dillian Whyte has shown that he belongs at the top. He had a very competitive fight against Anthony Joshua in which he's lost. He's 24-1 with 17 knockouts. He's won every fight since he fought and before Anthony Joshua. And he's recently raised his level to fighting Joseph Parker, beating him with a unanimous decision, knocking him down during the fight. Although he was almost out at the end of the fight, he showed tremendous heart and he got through the fight. And he did something that no one else has done, and that's completely floored Joseph Parker, proving that he has elite level power to face top heavyweights. So my thing is Deontay Wilder a fraud? Is he not the guy that everyone's making him out to be? He is not. He is not. It is that simple. Deontay Wilder could beat anybody on any given night because this is boxing just like anyone could. Now his fight with Tyson Fury that's coming up, we would love to see that. And I know a lot of people come out and say Lennox Lewis didn't support Anthony Joshua. He blames Anthony Joshua for the fight not being made or being signed. But then you look at Lennox Lewis basically coming out now and endorsing Tyson Fury to upset Deontay Wilder by basically saying, he surprised me in the past. I didn't think he was going to do that well against Vladimir, and he did better than expected. So basically, he's siding and picking Tyson Fury to beat Deontay Wilder. And so you're saying, no, he's British, he's not, but he did not side with Anthony Joshua prior with who's making the fight. He's not playing favorites here. He's being 100% on how he feels and how he sees these things. Although I do believe he was completely misled on the negotiations, he is completely showing no faith in Deontay Wilder if he's the baddest man on the planet. Deontay Wilder is not the baddest man on the planet. He's an entertaining fighter with a very loud and entertaining personality, and we love to watch him fight. But the facts are in, and you've heard me go over the record, the statements of his own managers. At 33-0, he was a fucking prospect and a baby. There's no way that this man is the baddest man on the planet. Once again, stay tuned to the IBFP. Please subscribe.